accepting this about dedicating tops of trees to the roots of the water. Illustrating the joy of us to honor our people who have nurtured this land since eternity. We wish, as I said before, this day we will see today and enjoy. How is the border when we come on to that, you are most welcome to the traditional rites of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people. Not too long. Thank you.
Auntie Joy Murphy-Wandin there, joined by Jada Wyman of Sydney FC and Lydia Williams, who is out injured for Melbourne Victory, so not participating in today's match, but still part of the pre-match formalities. So, handshakes will take place now. Leah Blaney rejoins me. Alana Murphy is going to be one of the players you're looking at very closely for young Matilda's selection this year. What do you think her role in the Melbourne Victory midfield will entail today?
Look, we know that she's got excellent striking techniques. Her distribution is a point of difference in this Melbourne Victory squad. Of late, she's been pulling the strings, so she's been setting the tempo and being able to play excellent passes forward that break lines. A real playmaker in midfield for Melbourne Victory.
So Murphy continuing her season, and a counterpart in that Sydney midfield will be Maddie Caspers, who is 16 years old, still very much at the start of her career in her debut A-League women's season, but it was a great weekend for her, scoring her first goal last weekend. And her older sister Holly also scoring for Western Sydney Wanderers, so would have been a happy household in the Caspers family last week.
Very talented household, and great to see young Maddie Caspers lighting up the Liberty A-League. She's a Northbridge and Football New South Wales Institute junior. She's a current junior Matilda and just a really mobile player. Really liking the braveness that Maddie is showing in midfield at the moment. She wants to be on the ball, she's positive, and very, very early days for the youngster, but positive.
Today's appearance number 5, and she doesn't turn 17 until March, so no need to pile too much pressure on too early, but clearly still being trusted in the starting 11 for now. Today's officiating crew is currently meeting with the captains, Princess Abini and Kayla Morrison. The central referee will be Isabella Blais, assistants Joanna Charactis and Danielle Anderson, and the fourth official is Rebecca Durkow. Jeff Hopkins in charge of the Melbourne Victory. His team is actually on a 3-game losing streak head-to-head against Sydney FC. The most recent win they had was the 2022 Grand Final, though. Victory coming up in the big ones against Sydney FC historically. Amazingly, they've only won 6 times head-to-head over 15 years, but a couple of those were Grand Finals. Ante Juric has been the Sydney FC coach, enjoying that 3-game winning streak since the 2022 decider, which also included last season's preliminary final. These two haven't met since then, and that was 1-0 with the winning goal from Madison Haley, who has since left the club. Shay Holman will be another key piece of that Sydney FC midfield. Of course, her brothers Jake and Corey having great seasons in the A-League men's. Shay has been ever present for Sydney in the last 2 seasons, and the veteran Matilda, Elise Kellon-Knight, back in the starting 11 today. Let's see what sort of veteran presence she can establish on the contest here next to the youngster Alana Murphy. So all in readiness as Victory kick off this big blue blockbuster. Melbourne Victory against Sydney FC has delivered in spades over the years in the Liberty A-League. Are we set for another classic today? As Courtney Vine breaks down the right, and Sydney FC have an early attack, which is diffused by Alana Murphy. Leah Blaney, you and I both discussed who we thought might win and why, but this really is a coin toss situation, both for the ladder positions these teams are fighting for and the 90 minutes we're about to watch.
Oh, it definitely is. You've got 2 teams here that are stacked with talent, both sides, with youth and with the future, as well as some current Matildas. So I think it's going to be a tight affair, a good tactical battle, and I'm really looking forward to the match ahead.
Sydney starting this game in 3rd place on 22 points. They go back to 2nd with simply a draw after Western United's win against Melbourne City yesterday. Melbourne Victory start today on 18 points, so they can't leapfrog Sydney with a win, but they can draw to within a point and rejoin the conversation for the top 2, which would of course mean a bye in the first week of finals. A top 6 this season and a new finals format as well, which gives a bit of an advantage to first and second, not having to play in sudden death finals immediately, as will be the case for teams 4 to 6. And right now, that's where Melbourne Victory are on track to end up, in a sudden death elimination final, unless they can find their way into the top 2. Alex Chidiac taking a knock here. Challenge from Shea Holman. And given how long the season is, Leah, I mean, today's game 14 for both of these teams out of 22. It hasn't really got down to win or consequences just yet, but these two sides would both be well aware that a loss today means that the chasing pack gets to make up a little bit of ground on them to potentially even knock them out of the top 6.
Yes, I think today's a really important match. Obviously, Sydney have moved up into the top 2 and they want to remain in that position, and Victory don't want to fall out of the top 6 anytime soon.
If Victory were to lose or draw today, they could be leapfrogged by any number of teams outside the 6, including Central Coast, Newcastle and Wellington. Those are the consequences that can really punish you for losing a game or dropping form and losing your way. As we see Rachel Lowe, the former Sydney FC player, trying to make ground here and is closed down. Big day for Rachel Lowe coming up against her former team.
Yeah, I dare say players like Shea Holman and some of her former teammates will be getting stuck in today, and a bit of a kick there, given that she's a former Sydney FC player.
Charlotte McLean, right within earshot of coach Ante Juric. Princess Abini scored a hat-trick in this corresponding fixture last season, the 6-3. It was a bit of a wild ride, with Melbourne Victory having to sub their goalkeeper Gabby Garton, who'd only been signed on an emergency contract during the week. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They've got an emergency goalkeeper on a short-term contract, Courtney Newbon, between the sticks today, in the absence of both Lydia Williams and also Miranda Templeman with injury. Here's Tori Hansen, the American, under a bit of pressure from Abini, and now Maddie Caspers will take over possession for Sydney FC, trying to find Courtney Vine, and Kayla Morrison safety first to clear away. Kirsty Fenton here, lining up on the left side of defence for Sydney to Jordan Thompson, not to be confused with the tennis player over at the Australian Open. Tori Tumeth, being closed down by another of the American connections, Mackenzie Wynett. Bit of a loose back pass here, sees Morrison off and chasing, and now Courtney Newbon, who did start the season as a complete free agent, emergency contract at the Central Coast, followed by this emergency contract that's seen her move down to Melbourne for a couple of months. Here's Princess Abini, is going to shoot on side Abini, and Newbon was flying, but fortunately for the Victory keeper, watched it sail over the bar, and Abini, with happy memories of this game a year ago, nearly opened the scoring.
And as you can see, Princess Abini there, she receives the ball on the half turn. She's aware of the positioning of Newbon, and it's not a bad look by Abini. Essentially, she just needs to lean over that a little bit, and that's a greater chance of going in.
So Victory on notice that Abini perhaps in the mood today for more goals. Fenton committing a foul here. Just the 1 goal so far this season for Princess Abini after scoring 8 last campaign. Sarah Dapolonia getting wiped out there by Fenton. Dapolonia, another of the Americans, having been spotted by coach Jeff Hopkins playing NPL in Queensland for the Peninsula Power. Here's Alana Murphy up against Maddie Caspers. The two players we highlighted pre-game already going nose to nose, battling each other in midfield. And Murphy is able to win the ball, but only briefly. Indiana Dos Santos in for Sydney FC. Now Abini. Holman. Abini caught by Alex Chidiac. And the Matildas, Chidiac and Kellon Knight combine, and Chidiac with speed, driving at the defence, but misses Rachel Lowe with the pass.
And that's where this Melbourne Victory side can be dangerous. Whenever Chidiac's able to pick the ball up in midfield, we know that she's a dribbler. She's going to engage defenders, and now it's about sticking those final passes.
Sydney FC consolidate. That's Ante Juric's voice, which is carrying across the ground at the moment. Which the crowd will swell you'd hope that given the standing of these two teams and their history in the A-League Women's, that anyone thinking of coming down for the doubleheader today will make the effort to get in early and watch both matches. Kayla Morrison misses the target with the pass. Charlotte McLean long down the right. Courtney Vine, great first touch, and now can turn on the afterburners here. Vine into the box. Well, the Victory defenders moved out of the way for Caspers. Goals in consecutive games for the 16-year-old, and Maddie Caspers makes it Sydney FC 1, Melbourne Victory 0. A dash from Courtney Vine attracted all the defenders, and Maddie Caspers with a composed finish beyond her years to put Sydney FC in front.
And Courtney Vine does so well to bring this touch down. She injects inside into the space. Poor defending by Melbourne Victory. You need to engage and make a tackle there. And Maddie Caspers, she's mobile. She makes forward runs. She gets herself in the box. And then that's a clinical finish by the youngster.
And that's a Matilda's defender of yesteryear, Emma Checker, who she's just sidestepped around so smoothly there, and an unerring finish into the back of the net.
A supreme finish. She takes a good little first touch. It's her non-dominant foot, her left foot, and then she just places it in that bottom corner.
I mean, I say yesteryear, Emma Checker was making Matilda's camps as recently as 2022. So she's on the fringe of the fringes, and Maddie Caspers there was able to step around and score the opening goal in Sydney FC, who I did mention are on a 3-game winning streak head-to-head against the team in navy blue. They are hungry for more. Mackenzie Hawkesby wants to pile on the pain. Hawkesby to Urbini. Sydney FC in the groove here. Urbini jags inside, legged by Rankin. And the referee had a good long look, Isabella Blais, and decided no penalty. And D'Apollonia with the outlet pass. And now Lowe nipping at the heels of Thompson. No foul given. Dos Santos and Caspers. And here's Checker back to Hansen. And now, as Dos Santos wins possession over on the flank, Melbourne Victory not off the hook just yet. Fenton combining with Dos Santos. Decision time here for Sydney FC. It's just one teenager to another, and now the relative veteran of the side, Jordan Thompson. Picture in picture, we had a penalty shout a moment ago. Leah Blaney, you be the ref.
Yeah, look, I think it's fair for a shout there. I think Rankin comes in a little bit late, and she does make unnecessary contact. Morrison had Urbini standing up there. I'd be giving the penalty.
So perhaps a little let off there for Melbourne Victory. They cannot win the ball at the moment. Sydney have it on a string. Rankin is able to head it up to Mackenzie Wynett. Now Melbourne Victory can show us what they can do. Only briefly. Rankin coughing up the ball. Thompson sweeping it forward. Urbini challenging Morrison. It's a great tempo to the game at the moment, but it's not suiting the Victory. They're looking a little overwhelmed and rushed at the moment. Here's Wynett knocking it back to Checker. And possession is seized upon by Thompson. It's probably worth also mentioning that Indiana Dos Santos is only 16 as well. Doesn't turn 17 until October, Leah. So Ante Juric is trusting a lot of his young players at the start of their career. It's one thing to have one youngster in the team. He's got 3 or 4 out there at the same time. And at the moment, they all seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, and I think a benefit of that is that they've all come through our junior and our youth national teams together. So they play regular youth and junior football together. They might be at the same club as well. So they've already got an existing partnership and ability to play in front of bigger crowds and with better players.
Checker it right back here. Saw the possession stat. Melbourne Victory have had more of the ball, but a lot of it has been under extreme pressure from Sydney FC. It's a little bit of a misleading stat based on what they're able to do with that possession at the moment. Ante Juric, just constant dialogue, almost like he's joined us as the third voice in commentary at the moment as part of the soundtrack of the game. Morrison's pass. Wynett to Kellon Knight. Blocked away by Thompson. Now Hawkesby finds Dos Santos. And Chidiac is able to spill the ball. Here's Dapolonia for victory. Can't find Lowe with the pass. Sydney take over, but missed by Dos Santos. Let's execute is the shout coming from the Sydney bench. But Kayla Morrison with a giveaway here that's going to invite on the pressure. Mackenzie Hawkesby looking for the pass for Vine. Just telegraphed it a little, but Vine wins it off Rankin. And now Kayla Morrison is able to win possession back. Kellon Knight with the step around. Slip here from Wynett. Trying to double back here, the American, who's a real all-action type of player. Doesn't matter whether she has possession or whether she's crashing in trying to defend from the front. Mackenzie Wynett. But now on the opposite side, it's Rachel Lowe. Trying to cross the ball in. Thompson blocks it away, out for a throw. Jordan Thompson, who was a mid-season acquisition. Jeff Hopkins has always got his notebook handy and is always scrawling away in it.
He does, and I dare say that he'd be considering now how he can get his midfielders facing forward and able to service this front line better. They are being a little bit starved of the ball in terms of chances being created and opportunities for them to be in this front third, where you want to play the game with the talented players that this Melbourne Victory squad have in this middle to front third.
Referee just attending to something which has delayed this throw in for Emma Checker, but all's well to restart play. Checking out, thinking about a long throw, caught in two minds. Can't quite pick out Kellon Knight, but it's still a corner, or is it? Yep, that's a corner. Last touch off Shea Holman. And now, yes, the referee overruling here. I think the assistant referee may have had everyone guessing, but it is going to be a victory corner to be taken by Alex Chidiac. Victory probably with the height advantage. Tori Hansen, one of the centre-backs, yet to score this season, but Kayla Morrison has been prolific. Not even 50 games yet, and she's got 8 career goals, the Melbourne Victory number 18, so she is an ever-present threat at set pieces.
And you can see Melbourne Victory, they're crowding Jada Wyman. They know that a strength of hers is to come out and collect anything in that goal line to 6-yard zone. So it's a good tactic that could be super effective. But we also know the quality of Jada Wyman and her ability to evade these kind of crowding is quite high.
So Chidiac's delivery, looking to drop it right on top of this pack of players. It's a little shallow. And just shinned away by Ibini, giving Chidiac a second chance. Now the ball slides in, headed away by Fenton. Very solid header with plenty of distance. Out to this duel, which Lowe wins. Back to Chidiac. Is it third time lucky for the victory? Hawkesby again gives Chidiac a look at possession, and now a throw-in. So the corner didn't come to much there. Never really arrived with all the shenanigans going on inside the 6-yard box.
It didn't. It just shows you can set up however you like, but if the delivery isn't on point there, then it makes it very difficult.
Low to Checker. Now Dapolonia. And how eagerly will Sydney hunt the ball now that Melbourne Victory are in passive possession at the halfway line. They're happy to stand off for now and let Victory advance. Low. Kayla Morrison, centre-back's going to venture forward. And Tori Chimeth with the initial block. Wynett trying to fashion a shooting chance. It's going to deflect high here. Chimeth's header. And Courtney Vine reaching up with the right foot for the ball. Able to get it out towards the safety of the line where Rankin and Ibini collide. And it looks as though the call is going Sydney FC's way. Or is it? Victory throw is the result. Jamila Rankin's had a few shaky moments defensively, but she is also an attacking weapon for the Victory. Sends a lot of crosses into the attacking area. So how did they get her to settle and start contributing the way that Victory know she can be her most productive?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Teo. You've got Jamila Renkin, who's up against one of our Matildas, whose X factor is speed. So is she going to be a little bit more reserved potentially and sit in and be worried about protecting space in behind and not get forward as frequently? It's definitely a consideration for Melbourne Victory with Jamila this match.
Here's Murphy. Victory happy to retreat back into the defensive half, and Tori Hansen. Morrison. Now Wynett. Passing accuracy, not quite at the tip-top level that either team would be thrilled about. In the low 70s at the moment. I know every game's different, Leah, and conditions and the opponent can be a factor, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Here's Dapolonia on the right. Half volley away by McLean. Fenton. Chidiac taking over for Victory. Has Dos Santos to battle against, and Dos Santos conceding a corner. What sort of passing accuracy percentage are you looking for as a rule from a team in a game, especially at A-League women's level?
Oh, look, for the quality of players that are on the pitch right now, for both sides, we expect it to be extremely high. You've got a lot of national team players out there, youth, junior, senior, you've got internationals. You would expect it to be quite high, Teo.
Victory starting to take over territory. Another corner. Kellon Knight gets an opportunity instead of Chidiac. Low, driving it straight into Hawkesby. Morrison back out to the corner taker. Kellon Knight, first time ball, trying to catch the Sydney FC defence out, and Jada Wyman, with her first significant involvement in the game, irons out Mackenzie Wynett. And protests from both teams here. Victory want either a penalty or a corner, and Sydney FC think that Jada Wyman was just playing the ball. Referee is going to go over and have a chat here to Daniel Anderson, who herself has spent plenty of time as a central referee. What decision is coming? No VAR in this competition, so it's first look, and then you have to make a call. It's a penalty. Big decision here from Isabella Blais with assistance from the Lions assistant referee, Daniel Anderson. Leah Blaney, talk us through the decision that's been made here.
I'm assuming that the foul is on Jada Wyman here. From my end, she's come off her line well. She's attacking the ball. She's brave. It's a little unclear to me why it is a penalty in that moment, because I think the goalkeeper was just attacking the ball. If Wyman is the perpetrator in this.
So a huge moment in the game. Sydney FC scoring early through Maddie Caspers. And now Rachel Lowe, who has never scored against Sydney FC, up against her former team. She's having a great season. Lowe, 7 goals so far. And an 8th here would take her within 1 of the lead in the Golden Boot. Jada Wyman will have faced umpteen penalties from Lowe in training sessions, be it at Wanderers or Sydney FC, over the years. These two have been teammates for quite a lot of their careers. Rachel Lowe from the penalty spot rolls it in, and it's level 1-1. And this big blue, not even a quarter of the afternoon old, has given us plenty already. 8th of the season for Rachel Lowe, and the first that she's ever scored against Sydney FC, padding the badge against her former club.
And that's a really classy finish by Lowe. You can see the delivery initially by Kellon Knight and the quality on that pass as well. And again on screen, Rachel Lowe, cool, calm, and just slops it into that bottom corner.
So a penalty converted by Rachel Lowe, and her excellent season continues. She is now within 1 of Michelle Heyman and Vesna Milivojevic, the Canberra duo that are top of the Golden Boot race. And it's a race that is going to compel us for the remainder of the season. Who's going to end up as the highest scoring player? It's hard to believe we have 2 players in the second last team on the ladder that are top of the Golden Boot. Rachel Lowe may change all that by the end of this afternoon. Might change all that by the end of this half if she can get onto the end of this pass here, but Sydney FC are able to roll away. And Victory, after a sustained period of pressure, able to find their equaliser. Princess Abini here, knocked off the ball, and a foul will go Sydney FC's way. Isabella Blais surveying the scene. No cards issued in the game just yet, and won't be the case here either. So prior to this season, Rachel Lowe had scored 10 goals in 75 games. So we see the foul here from Murphy on Abini again. Now she has 8 in 14. That is a stunning increase in strike rate.
Definitely an increase, and I think we're seeing Rachel Lowe hit really good form this season. She's had consistency. She's playing a hand in scoring goals, in assists. She looks like she's enjoying her football. I think she's really in a good vein of form right now.
Sydney FC can take all the ascendancy back if they score immediately here. Victory, you can see there a wry smile from Rachel Lowe, still feeling pretty good about putting one past her former team. But Sydney FC want the upper hand. Here's Mackenzie Hawkesby with the free kick. Players looking into the sun as it falls on the head of Kayla Morrison. Fenton round the corner. Caspers, Sydney's goal scorer, tucks it back in for Dos Santos. Now Fenton with a scooped cross. Morrison called upon in the air again and cleared away. Hard to believe we are only about a quarter of the way through the game's action. It's given us plenty already, Leah. Kellon Knight to Murphy. Courtney Newbon. There's the total passes. Melbourne Victory, the ball dominant team in this game.
And I think that's a fair reflection, that statistic, of both teams' game style. We know that Sydney FC are very, very direct. They look to get the ball forward as quickly as possible, whereas Melbourne Victory are a little bit more measured at times in their build-up, which sometimes can be their Achilles heel. They do need to be more direct.
Who do they need to see on the ball more, rather than simply the defenders passing amongst each other?
Melbourne Victory, they need to find players higher. Your Chidiaks in between lines, in between that back four and midfield space, your Lows, those kind of players.
Giveaway here could have proven costly if not for the head of Morrison. Almost like right on cue, the contrast in styles. Victory giving the ball away, and then Mackenzie Hawkesby direct, looking for the aggressive pass in an instant. Now Tumeth to Vine, tucking it back for Caspers, and here's Hawkesby. Melbourne Victory defence sitting deep, waiting to see what Sydney FC have got, and the possession is short-lived, given away by Holman. Checker, back to Newbon. And Newbon finds the line. How difficult is it when you are chasing keeper? We've seen Lydia Williams pick up injuries this season. Miranda Templeman coming in briefly. Now it's Courtney Newbon. Victory have another backup keeper. Gio Candy, the former Wellington Phoenix player, is waiting in reserve on the bench. And it can be very destabilising for the team to have a new voice and a new goalkeeper in there on a regular basis.
It definitely can, and it actually can have an effect on your whole game style in terms of how good they are with their distribution from their feet, or are they direct, and those kind of things. And just on Newborn, I think she's done a fantastic job, whether she's jumped in goal for Central Coast or Melbourne Victory this year.
Former Perth Glory and Wanderers player Courtney Newbon. Was able to get her placement moved with her education down to Melbourne so she could commit to a couple of months and the remainder of the home and away season. Probably would expect that rehab going well. Lydia Williams will be back between the sticks, and Miranda Templeman will perhaps be in a race against time to get back on the bench, though, after picking up a knee injury in a warm-up about a month ago against Western Sydney Wanderers. Here's Caspers. Now Dos Santos. Sydney moving over to the left. Hawkesby trying to keep the ball moving at all costs. Dapolonia a little apprehensive. Fenton trying to cause havoc. Dapolonia recovers with the help of Hansen. And now Checker. And a few little indiscriminate collisions off the ball, not escaping the attention of the referee. Holman gets blown up for the foul.
It's definitely a foul by Holman there, and I think it's a clever one. You know, she's a central midfielder whose primary responsibility at times is to break up play, and she just uses her body there to get in between the ball and Chidiac and prevent Chidiac from making a forward run.
Checker takes on Dos Santos. Now Murphy. Courtney Vine buzzing around, but Kayla Morrison keeps the ball moving. Now Rankin. Positive pass from Rankin. Finding low, but dispossessed by Holman. Rankin follows up. Now out to Wynett on the flank against Tumeth. Wynett. Burst of acceleration. Not able to get the better of Tumeth. Tori Tumeth, who spent 3 seasons in Melbourne with Melbourne City. So we'll know all about the rivalry with Melbourne Victory. Murphy against Hawkesby. Morrison now with a beanie for company. So from a coaching point of view and a game management point of view, Sydney FC have dropped their press off into the defensive half, and they're more than happy to let Melbourne Victory have possession in this area of the pitch. What's the thinking for Sydney FC easing off the press at this point of the game?
Yeah, look, it's very difficult in certain conditions as well to high press for 90 or so minutes, Teo. So that might be a factor today, where it's a little bit more humid. And also, you're going to be mindful with Melbourne Victory to try and stay narrow and force them to try play around you, knowing the quality central that Melbourne Victory have.
Victory stringing passes together, but in a bit of a helter-skelter fashion. Attempted clearance here is going to deflect very kindly for Wynett. And now the header, well, Rachel Lowe is a diminutive presence. And perhaps a taller player might have been able to get to that ball, but Rachel Lowe, it skimmed off the top of her head. And even though she made ground, wasn't able to affect the header there. Sydney FC, can they put a foot on the ball here? Melbourne Victory hassling at every opportunity. Now Dos Santos, and an arm around the waist from Dapolonia concedes a free kick, and will get Sydney FC out of trouble.
And just the work rate of Indiana Dos Santos on this left side. She's recovering, she's getting behind the ball, she's doing enough to put people off balance. For a player who's so talented in possession, really pleasing to see these off-the-ball actions by her.
21 degrees and 50% humidity today, so it was 80% yesterday. Anyone who watched the Melbourne City versus Western United match, which kicked off at the same time as today, would have seen a far muggier, more overcast afternoon. As you can see, bright sunshine greeting these two teams today. Here's Newbon. Kellon Knight. Blind turn on the pass. No one there for Victory. Caspers. Trying to protect the ball from Lowe. Has support from McLean. And McLean over the top for Vine. And a lush surface will hold the ball up here for Vine. Burst of acceleration, gets the better of Rankin, but the ball tailed out. And just for a moment there, I thought we were about to see some trademark Courtney Vine.
That's really clever by Courtney Vine. You can see that she uses Rankin's speed against her as the defender's closing her down. And it's just the technique there that lets Vine down in keeping that ball in.
See, the shot count has now leveled up. Courtney Vine, historically, 3 goals in what is now 10 appearances against Melbourne Victory. 1 for the Newcastle Jets, which was her first ever A-League women's goal back in November 2018. And a couple in more recent times for Sydney FC. So not too far from Amy Park over at Lakeside Stadium, where Courtney Vine scored her first ever A-League women's goal. It's been on a amazing climb and rise into the Matildas mix ever since. And slowly starting to creep up the all-time scorers list for Sydney FC too. Of course, her career split across Brisbane, Western Sydney Wanderers, Newcastle, and now Sydney FC. Jordan Thompson. Out to Kirsty Fenton, who's starting to take up more advanced positions on the left. 1-on-2 here against Chidiac. Now Holman, and that's just bombs away, out for a goal kick. Crowd will build during the game. That's the Sydney FC fans, though, the away presence in that little pocket of your screens over on the right, who are making some noise at the moment. Up comes McLean. Hawkesby. Ball over the top. Vine is a lone hand and outpointed 2-on-1. Rankin won the header. Down to Murphy. Casper's making a contest, but Murphy holds her off. Now an ambitious pass kept away from Lowe. Dos Santos turns and faces. And the look-away pass, out Fox to Beanie. Neither team's really on top at the moment. It's more of a bit of a midfield arm wrestle.
It is. It's become a little bit transitional. You can see both squads, the lines have really opened up, and there's a lot more space here with them being stretched. So longer passes are being executed, which at times have higher risk of interception and might be a little bit off the mark, which I think is causing the game to become a little bit too open.
What do you think the mindset is of Elise Kellon-Knight? You know, been to 2 World Cups, Olympics, more than 100 Matildas caps, and she's now the veteran presence, and she's got young 15, 16, 17-year-olds buzzing around that midfield. I mean, she was there herself. She was a prodigious young talent at the same age, but got a totally different perspective on it now, playing against the Sydney team, and they're going to be put to the test right here. Melbourne Victory again have the answers, and here's Kellon-Knight on the ball now.
Yeah, definitely a great addition to Melbourne Victory, and players like young Murphy to do an apprenticeship next to the quality and experience of KK is only going to help our youth players further develop. Won
it. Being chased by Chimeth, who'll be lucky to avoid a card here. And we're going to see the first booking of the afternoon. Tori Chimeth just a little bit clumsy with that tackle on Mackenzie Wynett. And so she's the first player to go into the referee's book. Yeah, and you can see the quality of Wynett there. She's able to turn on a dime. She's technically excellent with the ball at her feet, and just a professional foul. No malice by Chimeth there. So Chimeth gets the booking. Wynett, the 25-year-old who was briefly on the books of OL Reign in the NWSL, and before that the University of Washington. First season in Australia, and might be involved in this attack right here. Kellon-Knight's going too direct, and Jada Wyman able to catch the long ball. There was a bit of a push and shove in the background there with Rachel Lowe bowling over Jordan Thompson. Referee happy to let it all go, and Sydney FC from right back with Chimeth. Long ball headed away by Morrison. Now Vine follows up and has open field to break into here, but that's a good recovering tackle from Jamila Rankin to stop Vine getting away. Confirmation of the first booking of the game. Caspers, great tackle on Murphy, and now Caspers has Vine on the right. Vine surveying the options in the penalty area, went for the low cross and wins a corner kick. So smattering of applause here. Sydney FC attacking the end that has their fans down in the corner. So everyone's shielding their eyes from the sun, including those Sydney FC fans. And this is an awkward situation. The goalkeeper's not wearing a cap. There's Courtney Newvon in the traffic. See Courtney Vine shielding her eyes from the sun. Mackenzie Hawkesby to take the corner for Sydney FC. Floats it beyond the back post. Morrison's headed down towards the goal line. Low clears. Not decisively, though. Awkward bounce has to be dealt with. Dapolonia first to put a boot on the ball. Now Rachel Lowe, and Melbourne Victory can launch a counter-attack here. Sydney FC have got numbers moving back. Chidiac. It's gone a little quiet for the last 10 minutes or so. Alex Chidiac trying to get herself back involved in the game. Kellon-Knight making space between the lines. Now Rankin getting forward, and the giveaway there. Chimeth round the corner. Not the pass she was after. Victory straight back in possession. Wynett, 1-2 with Rankin, comes unstuck. Courtney Vine starting from very deep in defence. Hits the outlet pass, but it bends away from Princess Abini.
And you can hear Jeff Hopkins on the sideline. He's asking his 10s to position themselves higher. He wants them between this midfield and back four lines of Sydney FC, where they can actually receive in pockets and look to turn and penetrate here, just as an outlet for Melbourne Victory.
Chidiac on the ball now. Can Victory make any headway, though? Sydney FC looking organised behind the ball. Just for any of our younger or newer listeners, Leah, when you refer to 10s, you mean the number 10, which is a position for the attacking midfield, the creative playmaker of the team.
Yeah, correct. And in this Melbourne Victory setup, it's your players like Rachel Lowe, it's Alex Chidiac. It's those kind of players on the ball and looking to face forward.
And it's up to Sydney FC to starve them of possession. And that's why we're seeing Chidiac getting drawn deeper and deeper and nearly giving possession away here. But as Sydney FC commit numbers, it leaves a little gap. Rankin can swing it across. It's all Sydney FC at the fall of the ball, though. Fenton and Caspers combining. And now Thompson with a sliced clearance. And then that touch is going to go out for a goal kick off Emma Checker. The game's just meandering. The ball speed's definitely slowed down. And you spoke earlier, Leah, about how sustaining a press for 90 minutes isn't a realistic opportunity for players lest they burn out. But with the game meandering now, there's still plenty of time until the break. Who's going to take the initiative here and try to just get a little bit cleaner with their passing and step things up as far as the intensity? Neither side will be happy with a draw today as far as their ladder position and overall season arc is concerned.
No, I think if Melbourne Victory can get a little bit more movement ahead of the ball, a little bit more rotation from these midfield players, we are going to see them break lines and be able to penetrate a little bit quicker. For Sydney FC, again, we know the nature of their game is extremely direct. When they do receive it, they try to get it in the front third as quickly as possible. So the more open the game becomes, the more in favour of Sydney FC this match goes.
Tori Hansen here for Victory. Low round the corner. Knew where Kellon Knight was, and Kellon Knight going direct. Straight onto the head of Tumeth, though. Mackenzie Wynett was trying to sneak out the left side. McLean. Tumeth. Final third passing accuracy is not great for either team. When they go forward, they're struggling to connect with their teammates. And case in point, that one might have just crept into the final third as it went out for a Melbourne Victory throw. Certainly not a blazing hot day, so maybe both teams just waiting for the last couple of minutes and then a burst of energy before half-time where they might step things back up. Chidiac not able to keep the ball here. Dos Santos, maybe a window of opportunity for Sydney FC. Chidiac back in, refusing to let Dos Santos escape with the ball, and then Dos Santos commits a foul on Chidiac.
And as you can see, Chidiac and Checker there really do a good job of doubling up on Dos Santos there. In terms of the foul by the youngster, maybe a little bit of frustration and probably a little bit unnecessary in that moment.
Kellon Knight, though, Victory not exactly capitalising from the free kick. They've given possession back straight away. Fenton takes the throw in quickly. Ibini. Thompson. It's as far forward and open play as we've seen the centre-back today. And that might leave gaps at the back here, but Thompson defending from the front, crashing in, keeping Sydney FC in their attacking half. Morrison now. Low. Turns inside Tumeth and then Hawkesby. Saw Dapolonia on the right. Back to Alex Chidiac.
And these are the moments where Melbourne Victory need to really try and advance the ball a little bit quicker. We see Dapolonia is on the ball there, and then we end up going back to a centre-back. They need to break a line and then continue that momentum going forward.
Throw in here is given straight to Dos Santos. Checker's throw not even close to a teammate, so Sydney FC will take it and go. Courtney Vine. Look at Chidiac herring back, trying to chase Vine, who stops and props. Mackenzie Hawkesby. Lots of victory defenders to contend with, but that's going to deflect out for a corner kick. And a set-piece opportunity for Sydney FC late in the half. And maybe now we are close enough to half-time that we'll see players start to really push themselves and up the tempo and start sprinting again.
And isn't it great to see the Sydney FC fans, led by Michelle Morris, in the crowd today, Teo, make the trip down to Victory and get behind their Sky Blue girls.
Here's the corner for Hawkesby. No sun in the eyes to contend with this time. It's an in-swinger right on top of the keeper, and that was a good chance for Thompson. Scored on her Sydney FC debut against the other Melbourne team, Melbourne City. Crashed in here, but couldn't keep the header down.
And it's an excellent delivery by Hawkesby. It's in that far post zone. We know that Kirsty Fenton is such an aerial threat. She's a danger every time there's a set piece for Sydney FC. If she can make contact there, then that's going to be a greater opportunity for Sydney.
Well, she made contact, but it was Thompson heading it into her shoulder on the way out. Here's Fenton back at ground level now and took a slight knock. Free kick will stop play. So will it be the Sky Blues just turning up the heat at the end of the half here on Victory? They took the lead through Maddie Casper's early doors, and then Rachel Lowe's penalty kick, able to square things up, and that's how they stand at the moment. I imagine the rest of the league would be pretty happy with a draw today. Western United in second in particular. Sydney FC with a draw would not go into second because Western United have one more win, even though Sydney FC have the better goal difference. Perth Glory, they're in fourth. Western Sydney in fifth. And then Victory with a draw would remain in sixth, but vulnerable to being leapfrogged by a number of teams yet to play over the weekend. So I think the neutrals pick would be for the scoreline either to stay the same or end up the same, regardless of how many more goals we get from here. Last minute of regulation time. Victory hardly moving at breakneck speed here. Tori Hansen, they have a bit of creativity in them. One more spark before the break. Murphy with a little clip down the right. Checker has to circle back. Now finds Low with the pass out to the right. Dapolonia cuts it back. Awkward height. Wynett couldn't bring it down before Thompson was challenging. Here's Chidiac. Ball glued to the feet for now. Here's an opportunity through the left side. Wynett looks up at Jimeth and just coughs up the ball. An errant touch. Murphy. All Sydney at the edge of the box, cleared away by McLean. How many minutes of stoppage? Just the 2 at the end of the first half. Sydney FC defence trying to organise as Victory probe the left once again. Chimeth collatered late, advantage given. And Vine can turn and go. Bursts past Chidiac. Here goes Courtney Vine, working through the gears, and the pass is intercepted by Hansen. Dos Santos against Checker. Knocks the ball back to Kirsty Fenton. Dos Santos again, and didn't really play it to the advantage of Hawkesby. Morrison's headed from the edge of the box. Now Chimeth bursts away from Wynett, who gets back goal side and recovers. Holman. Caspers, careful on the ball. And now swings in across, but too close to the keeper. And Courtney Newbon catches in front of the eyes. So a second goal for Maddie Caspers. Coming in consecutive games this week. After the first against the Jets last Sunday. Rachel Lowe's got one today. Is she about to turn creator for a victory second? Lowe still advancing. Drops the ball off with Wynett. Kellon Knight, only seconds of stoppage to go at the end of the half. Sydney needing a defensive stand. Victory. One more attack. Can they capitalise here? Lowe gives possession up. McLean made the tackle. It's all going to happen very quickly for Sydney if they want to fire one more shot. Referee not looking at the watch just yet. Vine caught in possession. Rankin. And that free kick. Will Victory be given the time to take it? Couple of Queenslanders, Courtney Vine and Jamila Rankin, doing battle.
I think probably a little bit of a harsh call with the free kick there. I don't think there's any malice in Vine's movement, and it appears that Rankin just slipped over the ball from my end there. I'm
confused by this. Stoppage time's about to expire. If you're not going to lump it long into the penalty area, you're just going to beg the referee to blow for half-time. Wynett. And as night follows day, there's the half-time whistle. So Victory wastes that free kick at the end of the half, but perhaps a moot point. There is still 45 minutes to go. Maddie Caspers, her second goal, just 16 years of age, having a fantastic start to her career in the Liberty A-League. And Rachel Lowe's career best season rolls on with goal number 8, squaring things up. It means at halftime at Amy Park, it is Melbourne Victory 1, Sydney FC 1. Leah Blaney, talk us through the highlights of the 2 goals we've seen so far.
It's a fantastic ball by McLean to find Vine, who his first touch takes her inside. And for Maddie Caspers, the mobility of a centre midfielder to make sure that you're in that box and you're in a position to receive or pick up a second phase action, as we see comes off Kayla Morrison there. Right time, right place, and clinical finish by the youngster.
And then the penalty decision, Jada Wyman crashing into Mackenzie Wynett. Long conversation between Isabella Blais and assistant Danielle Anderson sent Victory to the penalty spot, where Rachel Lowe had no problems sending the goalkeeper the wrong way.
It's a fantastic, well-struck penalty by Rachel Lowe.
And the halftime numbers tell us that Melbourne Victory have been the ball-dominant team. Not often you see Sydney FC with only 37% possession. Do you expect to see a fundamental change in those numbers in the second half?
Oh, look, we know Sydney FC have come out previously and been a bit better team in the second half in terms of their possession, so I do expect that to go up. But in terms of the possession Melbourne Victory has, it hasn't really been positive possession into good areas to create those chances that are needed.
Stay with us. The second half of this Liberty A-League match will be coming up soon.
Australia. It's massive, isn't it? And hard to get around. But not anymore. Bonza is here. Boldly looking at no losses across airlines gone before. We're turning Australia purple. And making aviation history. Loads of new routes. So Aussies can explore their own beautiful backyard. Pack your budgies, get your thumb out, download the
Welcome back to live pictures from Amy Park, Big Blue, and 1-1 at half-time. Melbourne victory, first to act, going to the bench. Matilda Emily Gielnik will be on the way soon. Let's look at how we got to this scoreline. Young Matilda's coach Leah Blaney is here. Leah, Sydney FC took the lead through Maddie Caspers after a dashing run from Courtney Vine.
Oh, a fantastic decision for Vine to attack space there, and you can see Maddie Caspers and Indiana DeSantos are joining in the attack and getting forward in the box, and just comes off slightly a bit of a deflection off Morrison there. Great touch by Caspers and a clinical finish.
So that was 1-0 Sydney FC, but after a conference between referee and assistant, this challenge from Jada Wyman was called a foul for the collision with Mackenzie Wynett, and up stepped Rachel Lowe to score against her former club Sydney FC. First time she's ever scored against the Sky Blue. She was a Wanderers player before Sydney FC, and that made it 1-1. The centre-backs have gone through a power of work in this first half, including Kayla Morrison, who has won a heap of headers in that half. How much work will she be put through here in the second 45? In possession straight away after kickoff is given away. And Melbourne victory have subbed on Emily Gielnik at half-time. Looks as though she's come on for Sarah Dapolonia. Nope, Dapolonia is in the midfield. So we'll work out who Gielnik has come on for. But from a victory point of view, they're looking for a bit more pace in attack and a little bit more threat coming from Gielnik. Yeah,
it certainly adds a little bit more of a direct route to goal for Jeff Hopkins, the addition of Gielnik. She's a powerful player, she's strong, she's a winner. We saw her score the match winner last week, so really looking forward to seeing what she brings to this victory front line.
An interesting decision from Jeff Hopkins. Alana Murphy has been subbed off, and Sarah Dapolonia, the number 4, has been moved seemingly into a more central role. So when we saw Gielnik lining up on the right, we thought Dapolonia, who was playing on that wing in the first half, might have been the obvious choice, but it's Murphy who comes off and proceeds a bit of a switcheroo instead.
Yeah, and that's definitely a coaching decision there, or whether Murphy's carrying something. Interesting substitution, giving Murphy's passing ranges to probably find a player like Gielnik in space, but we'll just see how it pans out.
So Gielnik comes on, having scored 4 times over her career against Sydney FC. The most recent, though, back in January 2019. So a couple of happy memories over the journey, including one very notable semi-final for the Brisbane Roar. So we see Sydney on the attack here. Flag stays down for Abini. Going to shoot from outside the area, and it flashes just wide of the left-hand post. Princess Abini, who scored a hat-trick a year ago in this fixture, so close there to opening her account for the day.
And you can see Victory there trying to play a high line, and Hansen gets caught a little bit out of position. Great little forward run by Princess Ibini, and I just think in this central role she's been a lot more effective for Sydney FC.
You're on board with the decision to shoot early?
I think she could have taken another touch forward and continued with some running, but she's taken the avenue of not doing that and shooting on sight. And if that's the case, probably should have actually used her left foot there, so it's curling in towards the goal.
Rankin, victory on notice after that early shot for Sydney FC. Won it. Bit of a scooped up and under ball. Gielnik, first meaningful involvement in an attack, running at the youngster Kirsty Fenton, breaks right and did not catch a deflection. It's a goal kick, so Sydney FC well defended on that occasion.
Yeah, excellent defending by Kirsty Fenton, and you can see Charlotte McLean immediately in a position to provide some cover there should Fenton not be able to handle that 1v1 with Gielnik.
So goal kick for Jada Wyman. Fenton attempting to volley on. Catches the deflection. Sydney FC throw. Dos Santos trying to bring the ball under control, was a little slow, but still able to get a pass to Abini, and now Hawkesby out to the right, misses Vine, under-hit the pass. That could have been Vine away, but instead Jamila Rankin made the interception. And then an under-hit pass of her own. Battle ensues. Morrison holding off Hawkesby. Round the corner for Rankin. And then Morrison with a mishit pass. Passing accuracy was something we talked about in that first half, Leah. It seemed as though as the half went on, and the tempo got a little bit slower. Just the game frayed around the edges a little bit, but we've come out with a bit of a burst here at the start of the second half. There's the current accuracy at the moment. Ibini spinning away from Rankin is going to lift in across. And up goes Caspers, not able to get the header on target. Being guarded by Dapolonia on that one. Kellon Knight. Checker, the right back, getting forward. Past central. Seized upon by Lowe. Still Checker out on the flank, and Fenton will watch that roll out. Here's another look at the cross, which was hoping for either Dos Santos or Caspers.
And it's a good delivery by Ivini, and you can see young Caspers actually makes first contact, and you've got Indiana Dos Santos floating in that far post. So Sydney definitely have numbers in that moment to score a goal.
McLean. Oh, Vine caught offside. Frustration for Courtney Vine. Of course, we'll still be aiming to be part of the Matildas setup for the upcoming Olympic qualifiers in March against Uzbekistan. 2 legs home and away, the second of which will be in Melbourne over at the Docklands Stadium. Gilnick not able to bring Kellon Knight into play. Ibini, little grab over the shoulder, free kick given. Here's another look.
And definitely a grab on the jersey by Checker there. Ibini does really well to just lay the ball off as well.
Now Wynett breaking through the left side, and deflection off McLean, desperate to avoid conceding a corner, but not able to do so with the ball rearing up. And so Victory have the first corner of the second half. And there's a bit of a discussion going on about who takes it. Chidiac had a couple of shallow corners in the first half, at least Kellon Knight. No one's out in the corner. Eventually the call comes and Kellon Knight's going to jog over now.
Yeah, I think obviously Alana Murphy's usually the one on that, so maybe it wasn't decided when she came off who was going to actually take it from that right side. By Kellon Knight now taking it, does become an out swinger, which given where the positioning of the sun is, can be an issue for Wyman.
And that corner comes to nothing. Leah, does it mean much that with subbing off Alana Murphy at halftime, Victory now have no Victorian players on the pitch? It's either internationals like Wynett, Hansen and Dapolonia, or a lot of Queenslanders out there. Gilnick, Rankin, Kellon Knight, of course Rachel Lowe from New South Wales, Alex Chidiac from South Australia. And when you're trying to build a connection between team and fan base, does it matter that there are no homegrown players out there on the pitch at the moment for Victory?
Yeah, look, I think you always want to see homegrown players playing for their sides, and it is a bit disappointing that there aren't any on the pitch for Melbourne Victory at the moment.
By contrast, Shay Holman, one of the young contingent of Sydney FC players, has won a free kick here of Alex Chidiac right at the edge of the box, and it will be interesting to see who pulls rank and gets to take this attempt. Here's another look. Chidiac was protesting her innocence. Does she have a case?
I think she does. I think it's a little bit harsh on Chidiac there. I think she uses her body well and steps in front. But obviously the referee and the linesperson sees it differently.
Isabella Blais, today's referee. Mackenzie Hawkesby stands solo over the free kick. I don't think we're going to get a shot on the acute angle here. Lots of numbers committed forward. Driven low, we did get a direct shot, and Courtney Newbon dealt with it with a bit of comfort there, saw it all the way. For all those bodies in the penalty area, none of them really obscured the goalkeeper's view.
No, they didn't, and it's certainly driven in with pace by Hawkesby. However, she doesn't have forward runs in that 6-yard box to get on the end of it.
Gilnick A little deflection almost set her away. Fenton stood her ground in the tackle against Lowe. Now Holman comes in, and the end result is a Sydney throw. Sliced clearance from Fenton straight to Morrison. See the shot count there very much skewed in Sydney FC's favour. Rachel Lowe receives the ball in a yard of space, but Holman is quick to try and close it down. Gielnik. Lowe steps around Holman, and then an underhit pass is seized upon by Thompson. And real pressure on that pass. Bit of a hospital ball from Timeth, but the foul from Dapolonia is able to get Sydney FC out of trouble. Is this a foul, Leah?
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely an underhit pass by Timeth that Thompson is actually lunging for, so I don't feel that it's a foul on that occasion.
Indiana Dos Santos, his number is up. So the youngster goes to the bench. And Abby Lemon is the player who has come on. Into the box here for Chidiac. Slide challenge late, Low in the middle. Chidiac denied another chance. McLean, outstretched right leg, able to save the situation for Sydney. And now a counter-attack might be away. Hawkesby hoping for a beanie. And out-lunged Morrison to cut the ball off. End-to-end play.
And that's a really intelligent intercept by Kayla Morrison. She anticipates. Her positioning is good. Clever defending.
Saw there the sub Abby Lemon coming on. Picture in picture. Another look at Alex Chidiac creating havoc on the wing. Princess Abedi doing something similar at the other end. Lemon nearly immediately involved. Here is the sub. Re-added to the bench today after missing last weekend. Caspers from distance. And off the boot it looked promising, but it just lost energy in the air and ended up being an easy catch for the keeper.
Yeah, certainly love the positivity by the young player. In terms of Courtney Newbond's positioning, she's on her line. She's a fairly well-heighted goalkeeper. Probably a little bit ambitious in that moment by Caspers.
Oh, it looked promising about halfway through its flight, and then just ran out of oomph on the way down rather than continue its trajectory. Morrison slides in on Vine but can't get the better of the Matilda, and then Vine drags the pass straight to Checker. Hawkesby, and now no Vine out on the right wing to create that width, so everything slows down a little bit for Sydney FC. Holman to Fenton, who's got forward to join the attack. Block tackle from Hansen. Fenton kept possession but couldn't find Hawkesby with the pass. Thompson. Dapolonia in an acre of space. And the decision all important. Nearly got wrapped up by Holman, but able to evade her. Still Dapolonia. And now Gielnik. Gielnik cuts inside, and Thompson has done well. Oh, Gielnik is sore, but not seemingly injured. She's only in her third game back from injury, and the body language is a real worry. Victory. They want play to be stopped here, but I don't think Sydney are obliged, especially not with Gielnik back up and running, to put the ball out. Watch this space at the next break in play. Is Gielnik all right to continue? Here goes Princess Abeni. Abby Lemon. Series of deflections, and to the advantage of Checker. Here is Gielnik. Seemingly engaged in the play, so I think we can take it as read that she's all right to continue, but as the ball finally finds its way out, is she going to call the trainer, or is the game going to continue here?
You can just see Jordan Thompson slightly catches Emily Gilnick on the foot there a little bit late, which can be an uncomfortable knock, but good to see that she's continuing on.
No calls for the trainer, Gilnick, who missed a couple of months with injury, having rehabbed all through missing the World Cup in order to get back to play A-League Women's, still with very much the stated aim of making the Olympic team. I see Melbourne Victory almost double the number of accurate passes of Sydney FC, but a lot of those have been around their back line, with Sydney FC sitting behind the ball. And so Gilnick is still up and running. D'Apollonia dispossessed by Fenton. Ball still breaks to Kellon Knight. Advantage now given by the referee, so it was a foul. Won it. And misdirected pass allows Caspers to launch a counter attack. Holman cleverly over the top for Abini. A quick head check, not much by way of support. Abini. Will she take it solo? Decides to wait for support to arrive. Lemon closed down by Wynett.
I think in those moments, Sydney have got to make the most of the counter opportunity there. They allow Victory to get set and numbers behind the ball. It makes it difficult to break them down.
Vine resuming her duel against Rankin. We've seen these two go head-to-head throughout the afternoon. Rankin able to keep her at bay here. Tumeth. Lemon really roaming around the front three at the moment, has come on trying to add a bit of a new dimension to this Sydney attack. As the ball goes out, Abby Lemon's a player you know well from Young Matilda's duty, Leah.
Yeah, very exciting young player. She's got an enormous work ethic, so I'm not surprised that she's come on and she's getting stuck in, and she's trying to position herself in the build-up to receive and dribble and take people on.
Here's Lowe. An hour gone. Same scoreline as at the halftime break. Fenton anticipated the pass. And Lowe through the back of Holman. Apology given by the Victory goal scorer as we take another look at how the free kick was given away.
Yeah, definitely a foul by Lowe. You can see Holman looks to turn away from pressure there.
Abini intercepts Hansen's pass, and now Lemon with a yard of space. Lemon is going to turn and shoot. And it's a catch from Newbon. That was on target though. Just a little bit awkward through the air, but Newbon sure-handed.
And look, she remains a bright spark. She's working hard off the ball with her forward runs and her defensive efforts, and there we see her again just on the half turn, and she's trying to be positive and create something. She's been a very good sub since coming on for Sydney FC. Still yet to score her first A-League women's goal though, Abby Lemon. Today's appearance number 16. Is today the day for her? Princess Abini puts the head down, breaks wide. Checker and Chidiac for company. Now Lemon. Fenton. Right-footed pass was ambitious and volleyed away by Kayla Morrison, but only as far as Tori Tumeth. Holman. Vine trying to roll Rankin and just stays down a little sore after a knock to the ankle. Nothing too serious, and in the meantime Alex Chidiac is fouled inside the centre circle. Rankin starting to get back on top in that duel with Courtney Vine. Out comes Wyman, and that's a good confident claim of a long ball. She's not happy with how players have set up here. No chance to go quickly on the counter attack. Hansen's header. Kellon Knight. Gilnick. Lowe. Blocked away by Holman. Rachel Lowe in possession now, but no one really on ahead of the ball. Back to Checker. Casper's trying to make it difficult for Chidiac, and then just a little bit of afters there as Chidiac tried to free herself from the attention. Jeff Hopkins standing in his technical area.
He's not happy with players, Leah, getting too close to the ball.
Yeah, I think that there's probably a little bit of frustration that we haven't seen them break into that final
Morrison
third.
caught in possession here. Courtney Vine has got Lemon all on her own. Lemon denied by Newbon. And Morrison back trying to make amends. And that first A-League women's goal continues to evade Abby Lemon. And you can't help but think that should have been Sydney into the lead.
And what a tremendous recovery run by Morrison. You see she's dispossessed, but then you also see that she's the first defender to sprint back and try and win the ball back. Terrific winning mentality by Kayla Morrison in that moment.
Corner kick, the end result. Newbon organising the defence, dragging Rachel Lowe over to mark Abby Lemon. Here comes the corner, header away by Rankin. Caspers leaning into an attempt to win the ball by Chidiak. Now McLean. And through traffic, it's picked up by Courtney Newbon. The game had been just lacking in attack for a while. It's now been 45 match minutes since Melbourne Victory actually had a shot on target, Leah. So Sydney FC just sparking this game back to life, albeit with a Victory mistake.
They are really struggling to find players higher up the pitch. They're a little bit static, and in terms of their ball handling speed, it is a little bit slower, so they're finding it difficult to advance the ball forward.
And as we saw there, only one shot on target for the entire match for Melbourne Victory. Hawkesby, ball over to the right. Vine made a deep run and then slipped on the double back, allowing Morrison to leave the penalty area uncontested. Wynett, gaps opening up now. Rankin, Victory looking to slow things down. Lemon still pressing. Chimeth found Vine. Victory appeal for a handball. Assistant referee had the perfect view though. Play continues. Caspers, edge of the box. Back out to Vine. All about the delivery. Vine looking for Hawkesby. Headed away by Hansen. Follow up here from Holman. Hawkesby at the edge of the box. And now Caspers with a drive. And even though it went high, that was a well-worked build-up from Sydney FC.
It was good little combination play in this front third. It's a clever ball by Hawkesby, and again you see Caspers in a positive position. Just needs to lean over that and make contact on the volley, so the ball's trajectory is actually going down.
Another loose pass gives possession away. Hawkesby challenging Newbon, and it's palmed out for a corner. And Hawkesby, who has one long-range goal this season, nearly added a second.
And as you can see, there's just too much space in midfield. Victory aren't closing players down, so they have time and space to shoot from distance there. Greater pressure is needed.
They're their own worst enemy, giving the ball away, coming out of defence too. Can Sydney capitalise? They can sense the chance to retake the lead right here. Hawkesby's corner, attacking the far post. Thompson foiled Newbon with a great save. Totally unmarked header. And even though the Victory defence left Jordan Thompson unmarked, Courtney Newbon bailed them out.
And it's a great deliver by Hawkesby. You can see Thompson, she reverses off her defender there. She finds herself with a little bit of space, but just denied by the positioning of Newbon.
Chimeth's throw. Sydney FC will feel they've done enough to take the lead back here. Can they cash in while everything is rolling downhill for them? Melbourne Victory. Big defensive stand coming up. Gee, I don't think Morrison or Hansen would be happy with the replay of that, Leah, with neither of them really reading the corner. Chimeth hooks it into the box. Morrison only as far as Lemon. Blocked away by Morrison. Now McLean, desperate to keep the ball in. Desperate to keep Sydney FC on the attack. Morrison up for the header. Caspers, Lemon, Ibini can't bring it down to advantage. And Checker. It's just Victory clearing at all costs here. Can they get a midfielder to put a foot on the ball and ease the pressure? Kellon Knight now. Bombs away straight to Chimeth. Holman. Chidiak. Big intercept. And that's what Victory needed. Wrestle back the territory. And then Kellon Knight going backwards. I think that's the last thing Jeff Hopkins would have wanted to see on the sideline. Victory finally escaped their defence. They don't want to voluntarily send the ball back there. And Kellon Knight's pass a little loose is going to be intercepted by Ibini. Checker commits the foul, and Victory cannot find a target at the moment.
They can't, and they need to just settle the ball down, stick their passes, and regain a little bit of this momentum, because Sydney FC are certainly on top.
Good challenge by Lowe, finds Chidiac. Kellon Knight, intercepted by McLean. McLean wanted to drive it left. Abini was out on the flank, but the ball never got there. Dapolonia. Chidiac. And this is what Victory needed. Just a few passes consecutively, starving Sydney FC of the ball. All of a sudden, it's a lot calmer for them in possession. And wave after wave of attack. Well, it might be restarted right here. Kellon Knight cannot buy an accurate pass at the moment. Very uncharacteristic from the most senior Matilda out on the pitch. So we tick up to 20 minutes to go in regulation time. Fenton crashes in to win the header. Hawkesby. Now Abini nearly fell off balance, did fall off balance, and refuses to be beaten, refuses to give up the ball. Here's Vine. Tumeth bending out to the left. Lemon. Hawkesby commanded the ball and now slips it through to Caspers. And Hansen deflected off Lemon, and that will roll out for a goal kick. Courtney Newbon coming up with that huge save from the header from Jordan Thompson, and those are her numbers today, Leah.
Yeah, she's certainly had a little bit of work to do, and in particular in this second half, Sydney are applying the pressure. They're getting shots on target, and she's definitely being called into action.
It's an amazing story. The emergency goalkeeper, the ring in, not once but twice, at both Central Coast and Melbourne Victory in the same season. Fenton, Ibini. Gaps opening for Sydney. Ball over the top. Morrison had to make the interception. Courtney Vine was right there on the scene, and now a hard foul from Hawkesby on Chidiac. And the referee is going to reach for the yellow card. So Mackenzie Hawkesby goes in the book.
Yeah, and it does appear that the challenge on Chidiac is slightly late there. I don't think there's any malice in it, but she has caught Chidiac and winded her.
So Mackenzie Hawkesby, if anything, from a couple of seasons ago, has actually significantly reduced her foul count. She used to be quite a heavy fouler. There was one season where she led the league in fouls in the 21-22 campaign, but I think she's reined it in somewhat and added a bit more discipline to her game.
Ah, look, she's a winner. She's a little bit of a Katie McCabe in her, I guess, Teo. She's gritty. She works hard in midfield. She's not afraid to pull out of a challenge or take one either, and I just think that's a part of the type of player Hawkesby is. I don't think it's ever in malice.
And so, as Chidiac is treated, both teams are using this almost, to use a bit of Aussie rules parlance, a three-quarter time huddle. Leah, what do you think Jeff Hopkins and Ante Juric are saying to their respective teams?
Look, I think in terms of Sydney FC, continue with the momentum, moving the ball quickly. They're holding better bouts of possession in this front third with some of the combination play. And then in terms of victory, it's about breaking the Sydney FC pressure and just being a little bit more positive. You can see when longer straight balls are played, that's not the answer for Melbourne Victory. They need to be playing angled passes and finding plays between lines in those moments. In
73 minutes, they've had one shot on target, and that was a penalty. How do they increase the shot volume? How do they actually put players in a position to take a shot, never mind actually fire those shots away?
Yeah, it's finding those players, as I've mentioned, higher up the pitch, and this is a key moment on the field where your centre-backs have the ball. You need people positioning themselves in half spaces like Chidiac is now, and now continuing to penetrate.
And with the adrenaline pumping after that heavy foul, Chidiac finds Gilnick, and then that's what's been missing today. The next pass at the edge of the box. And Sydney FC clear their lines and repel. Dapolonia. Victory still have 3 outfielders on the bench they can turn to. Correa, Aquino, Paige Zoyce and Rosie Curtis. Sydney FC still have Janae Dos Santos and Taylor Ray, and last week's match-winning hero, Zara Kruger, waiting in the wings. Here's Wynett. Can Victory find that first shot on target from open play? They can't. Jana Wyman is able to pick up a loose ball. Wynett has scored 3 goals in 14 games now this season, so certainly not a poor return for a winger, but would love to find another one today. Feel like it could be vital. Maybe a little early to say next goal wins, but given the lack of attacking done by both sides, it might just be decisive. Here's Princess Abini. Running in on a tight angle, Abini squaring the ball, and Lemon was caught behind Morrison. Caspers was free in the penalty area, but the pass instead was intended for Lemon. And now Gilnick hoping for Wynett, and here goes the American Mackenzie Wynett. McLean backtracking, forcing Wynett wide. Sydney FC have packed the penalty area with defenders. Dapolonia now Low, the crowd urging Low to shoot. Can't free the feet. McLean makes the successful tackle.
And just too many touches there by Rachel Lowe. You know, the initial action with Wynett into space. This was the moment where they needed to be extremely direct and go to goal. Forward run so Wynett can actually deliver the ball early. Charlotte McLean does really well to stand on her feet and delay. And you can see Sydney FC are organised there. It makes it very difficult to get a shot off.
Ball allowed to bounce in the box. Thompson, Chidiac, no juice behind the shot. Cleared by Chimeth. Abini, great protection of the ball. Marvellous hold-up play from Abini. And now brings through Lemon. Plays it out into space, and Hawkesby, even though Hawkesby just gets faster and her endurance comes to the fore as the game goes on, even that was beyond her. Rankin to Chidiac. I do wonder, are we closing in on a lot of activity on the substitutes bench, because gaps are opening, players are starting to tire, and both teams have multiple midfielders, central midfielders available to them on the bench. So
some very exciting prospects on the bench. Paige Zoyce could add a lot of value to this Melbourne Victory side as an example in terms of distribution.
Long ball here, hoping for Lemon in a duel against Checker. Ante Juric thought there was a foul. Play continues. Or was that handball? The referee, eagle-eyed, is able to spot it. Here's that great hold-up play from Princess Abini.
Fantastic ability to secure the football there by Abini, and you can see the quick support from Abby Lemon. Abini's come deeper in, and you can see she's getting beyond there so she can actually receive that pass in space as well. It's a really nice action.
Long-range free kick. Courtney Newbon waits in goal. It's all Victory at the fall. No one even challenging Morrison in the air. And then McLean gets Bronx cheers from the slowly increasing crowd. There are some of the bench players. Paige Zoyce in the foreground, Correa Aquino right of screen, and Rosie Curtis taking a drink there in the background. They are all eligible still to be subbed on. They're off doing their warm-up behind the goal at the left of screen. Here's Hawkesby in an acre of space. Hawkesby slides it out to Abini. We've seen Abini in this position already in the half. And over the head of Lemon, who was waiting in the penalty area. Low. Dapolonia. Pass to no one in particular. And Jordan Thompson, well, lets Victory off the hook. Gives them a throw in straight back. Chids was the shout from the bench, but Checker went even further afield to Gilnick. And Holman stands her ground. Fenton. Long ball. Abini 50-50 against Kellon. Knight went to ground. Didn't get the reward. Morrison takes over. Now Chidiac. Morrison. The centre-back marauding forward. Kayla Morrison is the shot on here. Slips it over to Low instead. Low on the tight angle, bending it in, and headed away by Thompson. Victory still can't get that first shot on target from open play. And at this point of the game, I don't know why Kayla Morrison didn't just have a bash and take it on. Rankin, Wynett. See the possession count. Victory more than 60% this late in the afternoon. And then coughed up and given away by Gilnick. Vine starting from deep in the defensive half. Hawkesby. Switching over to Abini. Clever from Abini. Able to lose Dapolonia. And now twisted over to the right. Victory players appealing for offside, but the flag stays down. Lemon. Hawkesby. Vine wheels around onto the ball and then hits it straight to Kellon Knight. Chimeth, the defender, pushing all the way up the pitch. Abini kept her ground, shoots from distance. Abini, and it ended up high and wide, not by a huge amount.
And the Sydney side, it's really coming to life in this front third. They're creating chances. Abini's having a good match impact in these later stages of the game.
Holman ironed out here by Lowe. Yellow card straight out of the pocket from the referee. Rachel Lowe goes in the book.
And just a little late with the challenge on Holman by Lowe. She just needs to slow down there. Holman's about to receive the ball facing backwards towards the sideline, so it's a little bit unnecessary.
Well, last week's match winner for Sydney FC, Zara Kruger, comes on at a similar time of the game. 10 minutes to impact the contest off the bench. And she's on for Maddie Caspers, Sydney FC's goal scorer from earlier in the game. Victory will answer with a sub of their own. And it's going to be Elise Kellon Knight, back from injury today, coming on for Paige Zoyce. And so the Matildas veteran is replaced by the youngster Zoyce, who has 10 minutes to come on and show us what she can do.
And I think both substitutes are warranted, and we know Paige Zoyce is going to help a little bit in terms of some of the distribution going forward. And on the other end of it, the energy Zara Kruger brings it, as well as a proven match winner for Sydney FC.
Checker here wants to hit the sideline. Kruger knocks it down. First involvement off the bench for the sub. Ibini breaking past Hansen, and Kayla Morrison composed in the middle to clear the ball away. Chidiac committed to the ball and then slipped it out to the left. Missed one with the pass. They could have been away there. The shot count 20 in total, but look at the skew. 17-3 in Sydney's favour. Hansen. Low. Gets the better of Hawkesby, but then doubles back inside and just allows the Sydney midfield and defence to reset. Morrison sweeping it out to the left, and Chimeth not able to deal with the ball. Window of opportunity for the Victory. Wynett, here's the shot. And it tumbles just wide. Mackenzie Wynett making an attempt, but not able to trouble Jada Wyman.
And as you can see, Wynett's a both-footed player, so she's able to cut inside there, and then she's just slightly off balance when taking the shot.
Tori Chimeth won't be happy with that half volley getting the better of her there, leaving the door open for Victory to fire a shot. Zoyce back to Morrison. Gilnick gives the ball, well, sold Zoyce into trouble, and Zoyce got out of trouble. Able to get to the ball through a gauntlet. Chidiac, Victory upping the tempo here. Wynett. It's got two defenders to deal with, and Holman was able to knock the ball away. Dapolonia. Zoyce. Already coming on with the new energy. Zoyce, great pass for Dapolonia, and then Gilnick caught behind McLean. Victory getting closer now, starting to ask some questions of the Sydney defence. Dapolonia. Rachel Lowe away from Kruger. Lowe cut back. Thompson went to ground, kept the ball from Chidiac. Victory sustaining attacking pressure. We haven't seen this at all in the second half until now. Fenton just trying to clear the lines, and the ball will roll away. But that's new from Victory. That's different. We're starting to see them build up and get a bit closer.
Yeah, and this is where this Melbourne Victory side want to play the game. They've got clever players like Chidiac, Lowe. You see the addition of Paige Zoyce, what that brings in terms of her passing ranges and ability to play little reverse balls into this front third.
Holman. And now Sydney FC at the 84-minute mark have possession right on halfway. Game still very much in the balance. Every other team battling for spots in the top 6 would probably prefer a draw, the likes of Perth, Newcastle, Central Coast, Western Sydney Wanderers. I think a draw might suit all of the fans of those teams just fine, with the ladder such a log jam at the moment. Here's Abini. Shrugs Dapolonia. Now Kruger. Back to Abini. Vine waiting on the right. Ball never arrived. Abini shooting it straight into Morrison. And now Tumeth following up. But it was always going wide. Got a tough question for you. If you were doing the votes for the Dolan medal, who would your player of the match be with 5 minutes to go? It's been a pretty tough day to find standouts out there. I've got one in mind, but I'm fascinated, Leah Blaney, to hear what you think.
Look, I think Kayla Morrison's been excellent, Teo. I think she's weathered a lot of the Sydney attack. Her positioning's been good. Aerially, she's been sound. For me, she's been a consistency in this match for Victory.
Yeah, Hive Mind Activate. Morrison was my choice. So there you go. You've read me like a book. Of course, if Sydney go on to score a winner, that might be a moot point, regardless of how well Morrison has played.
You're looking for a gig with me, Teo.
Here goes Kruger, and Gilnick backtracking, able to win the ball away. Chidiac. Rankin. Won it, making space on the left, but Chimeth got over to cover, and so Victory are forced backwards. Here is Morrison, who is going to have the touch of class or the moment of inspiration to win this game in the final 4 minutes plus stoppage. Zoyce. Vine. Hawkesby finds Abini. And now Kruger making a run. Abini decides to keep the ball, and now it finds Kruger. Neat little 1-2. Abini attracting defenders, but able to lose them all. Hawkesby. And now sprays it over to Lemon. Lemon brought a tough pass under control. Lemon against Checker, and then played it straight into the shins of Dapolonia. It will be a corner kick.
And what's impressive from both squads right now, up either end, is they're getting numbers behind the ball quickly to defend that central goal zone area, which they're a little bit fatigued, both sides. It's the dying stages of the game, and somebody's looking for an answer. So it's great to see the commitment for these girls to protect that central goal zone.
Another look at the attacking play of Abby Lemon that earned this corner for Mackenzie Hawkesby. Bending it to the far post. Thompson was there, and Hansen kept guard. And the last touch is off Thompson, meaning it's a goal kick. And we saw Jordan Thompson testing Courtney Newbond with that header earlier in the half. It was the same corner, and this time, well, Victory sort of learnt their lesson, and the end result suggests that they did.
Yeah, I'd say they've identified that back post zone as a weakness for Melbourne Victory, and they're targeting it.
Long ball here is going to find its way down to Jada Wyman. Thompson, long ball here, asking a lot of Abini, and the ball will tumble out. So even though the crowd has grown significantly during the last 10 minutes or so, they haven't really had a moment to draw them in. Of course, it is a double-header today with the A-League men's. It's just more of a murmur rather than a great atmosphere around the stadium at the moment. Here goes Kruger, battling against Zoyce, and Zoyce not allowing Kruger any progress there. Lemon and Hawkesby. Hawkesby still. The shot might be on here on the tight angle, but there is no power behind it. Is a draw perhaps the fairest result, Leah? Does either team walk away thinking they should have won this game today?
Oh, look, I'm still sitting on it wasn't a penalty, Teo. So I'm going to... A draw at 1-1 for me isn't a fair result. I think Sydney have created the better of the chances, and that penalty is questionable.
Well, on a day where Melbourne Victory have not created a single other shot on target other than the penalty kick, we have ticked into the last minute of regulation, and they can still harbour hopes of winning it right here. Gilnick was last week's hero in a similar position, but not a similar shot nor result. Jada Wyman picks up a very slow-moving, but I think we're being told technically their first shot on target in open play in the entire game.
Yeah, and I think in saying that, I don't think Sydney have created any other real goal-scoring chances that you go, they should be 3 or 4 goals up as well. I think a 1-0 result would be a fair reflection of the game.
Gilnick trying to do it all solo. The ball spills. Wynett. The attack still going here. And Wynett high over the target. No threat to the goal of Jada Wyman. And there is the shots on target. Yep, Victory ticking over to 2. How many minutes of stoppage will we get for either of these two teams? It's starting to look like they've arm wrestled all the way to exhaustion. Just 3 minutes to finish this one. Zoyce. Hansen. A goal for either team here could have a profound effect on the ladder. It's worth remembering that first and second get a huge advantage this season with the new finals format, avoiding an immediate knockout game, instead advancing to a 2-legged semi-final against the winners of the elimination finals. 4-6, there's no tomorrow for those qualifiers. Here's Lemon to the edge of the box, volleyed away by Rankin. Tumeth, well, maybe didn't know Wynett was right there, but Wynett coughs the ball up. Courtney Vine, can she provide the touch of class? It's not there with that pass, and Checker back out to Vine, still the danger. Sydney looking for a stoppage time winner for the second game in a row. And Jamila Rankin is able to outpoint Courtney Vine and find the safety of the line. Vine takes the throw. Tumeth left the return pass a little short. Wynett makes it a contest. Now Gilnick. Wynett chased down by Vine. No foul given. Play continues. Crucial from Zoyce. Dispossessed Hawkesby. And that was so important with Melbourne Victory scrambling back. The defensive work is not done yet. Vine buys her time. Who's on in the box? Courtney Vine against Jamila Rankin. A little burst of acceleration. Vine lifts it in. Kruger off the woodwork. That was nearly Zara Kruger, the hero, for the second game in a row. And now the whistle goes, and it was offside. Well, the width of the post away.
And that's a fantastic delivery by Courtney Vine. It's a well-weighted little dink pass in, and the oncoming positioning of Zara Kruger. She's central. She just needs to head that down, and a great opportunity for Sydney FC.
Well, the offside must have been after the ball hit the post, because there certainly didn't appear to be anything wrong with Courtney Vine getting into position to make that cross. Free kick here. We've got about 40 seconds to go. Score now, and Sydney FC leave with 3 precious points, but that's not the free kick they needed. Checker with the header away. Dapolonia pressured by Fenton. Spilled the ball. Ebini, free kick again. Too far out for a direct shot on goal. Well, we saw at the end of the first half, Melbourne Victory wasted a free kick, and we were wondering why they didn't get numbers forward and just pile it into the box. I don't think Sydney FC will make the same mistake here. Get everyone you can forward for one last hurrah.
Yeah, I think with Mackenzie Hawkesby on the ball, this will be on target and definitely an attempt at goal.
A huge defensive stand for Victory at the end of the game. Sydney FC to win it. In it comes Kayla Morrison. Who else wins the header away? Stoppage time is up. Courtney Vine crosses in. Hansen this time, and flashes through the box. And with Checker's clearance, all eyes on the referee. Does Sydney get to reload one more time? They do. Out to the left they go. The touch not quite there from Tumeth. Now Chidiac to Dapolonia. Checker again. Steps around Hawkesby. And the pass into midfield. And we continue on. Maybe Victory's turn to try and win it. D'Apollonia up against Holman. Back to Lowe, dispossessed. Play continues. Kruger. Here goes Hawkesby. Slight challenge from Chidiac. Oh, free kick and a yellow card. Well, the central referee clearly disagreeing with the recommendation of 3 minutes from the fourth official, because we're about to tick into a 5th minute of stoppage time.
Yeah, and definitely a little bit late by Chidiac in that moment, but also dying stages of the game, a good professional foul as well.
And this is a lot closer to the free kick that Melbourne Victory had at the end of the first half. So a bit of symmetry at the end of the game. Hawkesby looking to drop it on the penalty spot. Up goes Gielnik. Morrison repels. Vine is there on the turn. Thompson blocked away by Morrison once again. Here's Abini, a little toe poke. Morrison the obstacle they can't get past, and that will do it. Perhaps fitting that Kayla Morrison was standing tall at full time and holding on to a precious point for Melbourne Victory. Sydney FC gave it everything at the end, but have to settle for a share of the points. And the Victory captain, Kayla Morrison, a pillar of strength in defence as they were put under extreme pressure at the end. Maddie Casper's first half goal got it all started for Sydney FC. Rachel Lowe's 8th of the season from the penalty spot on a day where Melbourne Victory created precious little in attack. Both teams have to settle for a draw. Melbourne Victory 1, Sydney FC 1. Leah Blaney back to the first half, back to Sydney FC's opening goal of the game.
Yeah, once again, Courtney Vine, she attacks space, she engages that back line. Morrison does get a foot in, but it ends up in the path of the youngster Maddie Caspers there, and a really clinical finish by Caspers. You can see that she wrong foots Checker, slight little jinky step to the left, and really well-weighted finish.
And then this has certainly been the hotly debated topic of the match. Jada Wyman adjudged to have fouled Mackenzie Wynett. That sent Melbourne Victory to the penalty spot, and Rachel Lowe did the rest.
Oh, she's a class act, Rachel Lowe. It's a clinical finish and a great penalty.